They gave the Minnesota Vikings a C. A C, like a student who showed up, did the homework, and left the teacher completely unimpressed. ESPN analysts, NFL Network pundits, every media outlet you follow, they all looked at this offseason and basically shrugged. Nice try, Minnesota. But here's the thing, some of the best moves in NFL history looked like nothing on paper until they looked like everything on the field. So before you trust the grades, let's actually look at the tape. Let's break down what the Vikings just did, why it has the potential to be the most underrated offseason move of the entire decade, and why that C might age into a straight A+. This is what's the play. Let's go back. Because if you only know Kyler Murray from the last couple of seasons, you don't actually know Kyler Murray. 2019, the Arizona Cardinals take a 5'10" dual-threat quarterback out of Oklahoma with the first overall pick. The entire league is watching. And Kyler Murray does not flinch. He wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. First pick, immediate impact. Then 2020 rolls around. Murray is a Pro Bowler. 2021, Pro Bowler again. Back-to-back, he's making all-pro lists. He's a cheat code with his legs, a weapon with his arm, and Arizona, for a brief moment, looks like a team that figured it out. So what happened? Injuries. That's the short answer. The longer answer involves a torn ACL in December 2022, a recovery that stretched deep into 2023, and a 2025 season where Murray played through limitations and still managed 962 yards, 6 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. His PFF grade came in at 72.2, 22nd among quarterbacks. That's not elite, but here's the context nobody is giving you. That was an injury-shortened season on a Cardinals team that was essentially in rebuild mode, with 0 offensive weapons around him. The Cardinals looked at all of that and decided they were done. They cut Kyler Murray, released him, with roughly $36 million still owed to him for the 2026 season. $36 million. Arizona paid that just to move on, just to not have to deal with it anymore. That is a franchise waving the white flag on a former #1 pick. And that's exactly where Minnesota walked in. Now this is the part where you need to sit down, because the math here is genuinely absurd. The Minnesota Vikings signed Kyler Murray, former #1 overall pick, 2-time Pro Bowler, Offensive Rookie of the Year, to a 1-year contract worth $1.3 million. $1.3 million. That's backup quarterback money. That's practice squad territory in terms of what it costs against the salary cap. Arizona Cardinals eat the remaining $36 million. That's their problem. Minnesota gets the player. Arizona gets the bill. How is that even legal? It's called a post-June 1st designation, dead cap splits, and a lot of financial maneuvering that basically means one team can absorb the hit while another team walks away with a veteran quarterback for essentially nothing. And the Vikings didn't just clear the runway for this deal by accident. They traded defensive end Jonathan Greenard to the Philadelphia Eagles, a move that freed up more than $16 million in cap space. This was intentional. This was planned. The front office saw an opportunity and created the room to take advantage of it. Now, for Murray, this is a prove-it deal. If he plays well in 2026, he earns the biggest contract of his career next offseason. If he struggles, the Vikings move on with 0 long-term commitment. High risk, high reward, for both sides. Murray is betting on himself, and the Vikings are betting that the talent is still there, it just needed the right situation. That's the bet. Now let's talk about what that situation actually looks like. You want to talk about a situation? Let's talk about the receiver room Murray is walking into, because this might genuinely be the scariest wide receiver trio in the entire NFL. Start with Justin Jefferson, the best receiver in football, no debate, no argument. The man runs routes like a video game and makes contested catches look routine. When the Vikings got Jefferson locked up long-term, they built the foundation of everything. Then there's Jauan Addison, second-year receiver with explosive speed, sharp routes, and the ability to take the top off any defense. If Jefferson is the alpha, Addison is the nightmare you forgot to prepare for. And then Minnesota went and added Jauan Jennings. The former 49er has 22 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons. He's big, he's physical, he fights for the ball, and he slides into that WR3 role behind 2 of the best receivers in the league. On another team, Jennings is a #1 target. Here, he's an afterthought to opposing defenses, and that makes him dangerous. Justin Jefferson himself said it best. It's really good to get some talent in the room. Give a little spark. That's your franchise receiver co-signing the offseason. That means something, and we are not done. DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray's former teammate in Arizona, one of the great receivers of his generation, is still a free agent. And he has expressed interest in signing with Minnesota. If Hopkins lands in purple, you're looking at potentially 4 legitimate receiving weapons. That's not a receiver room, that's an embarrassment of riches. ESPN analysts are already saying that at the end of this season, Kyler Murray could be the best quarterback bargain in NFL history. And when you line up what he costs against who he has to throw to, it is genuinely hard to argue against that. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, because Kyler Murray is not walking into Minnesota as the unquestioned starter. There's a quarterback battle, J.J. McCarthy. Second-year player, first-round pick. The guy the Vikings drafted to be their future. McCarthy showed flashes in 2025, enough to keep the fan base excited, enough to keep the conversation going. So what does Kevin O'Connell do? The Vikings head coach has not committed publicly to either quarterback. He's letting this play out in camp, in joint practices, in the preseason. The official line is that it's an open competition. But here's what the insiders are saying. It's Murray's job to lose. He's the veteran. He's the proven commodity. He's been in this league for 7 years. He knows how to read a defense, extend plays, and carry a team when it matters. The joint practices against the Baltimore Ravens, scheduled for August 19th and 20th. That's your first real measuring stick. The Ravens have an elite defense. If Murray goes into Baltimore's practice facility and moves the ball efficiently against that secondary, the conversation is basically over. And here's the real question nobody wants to ask out loud. What happens to McCarthy's development if Murray starts all 17 games? Does that set him back? Or does watching a seasoned veteran operate at a high level in this offense actually make McCarthy better when his time comes? O'Connell is smart enough to know that the answer to that question might matter more than the 2026 season itself. So let's bring it all